There's a moment you've probably had more than once, when the world feels too blurred, too fractured, and you ache for a single thread to hold on to. You don't want noise, you want coherence. Not answers shouted from a stage, but the sense that everything finally fits together, that someone sees the same pattern you've been seeing in the dark. Maybe it felt like relief at first, like warmth after living too long in cold air. You might have wondered why belonging could feel like truth, why surrendering certainty ever felt like grace. But the truth is, nothing was broken in you. The longing that drew you close wasn't weakness. It was the human wish to feel safe inside a larger story. When psychologists talk about people who join cults, they sometimes use the phrase totalistic systems. That language can sound distant, even dehumanizing, but at its core, it describes something simple: the wish to quiet chaos by aligning with something complete. Your mind wasn't chasing control. It was seeking peace. A cult doesn't prey on ignorance, it preys on sensitivity. You notice dissonance in the world, the cracks in meaning that others glance past. When you find a group that claims to erase those cracks, your system relaxes. For a while, the inner noise fades. What they call conversion might have felt to you like clarity, the disappearance of the gnawing question, where do I belong? Psychologically, this touches something called cognitive closure, the need to settle uncertainty. But that term is too clinical. In lived experience, it's more like needing rest for the mind. The cult offers a place where you can finally set everything down. And for someone who has spent a lifetime analyzing, questioning, and never quite fitting, that promise is magnetic. It helps to see that what the world calls gullibility is often devotion in its rawest form. You are drawn to wholeness. You care about coherence, honesty, unity. You seek not to dominate, but to dissolve the sharp edges between yourself and something larger. The trouble comes when that hunger meets a structure that pretends to protect you from doubt, but only by taking away your capacity to think freely. Still, the fact that you could believe so completely speaks to depth, not deficiency. It means you're capable of surrender, of intimacy beyond transaction. It means you have known loneliness so profound that belonging felt like oxygen. Few people realize how sacred that moment of trust is before it's taken advantage of. Society often mocks that kind of openness, calls it naive or desperate. But what they miss is that joining a system like that isn't about blindness. It's about vision, the kind that wants to make fractured existence whole. You weren't escaping reality. You were trying to organize it in a way that felt livable. There's a tension in you between wanting to see things as they are and wanting them to finally make sense. Most of your life you balance on that edge, too aware to numb yourself entirely, too hopeful to give up on meaning. That tension can be exhausting. Sometimes it leads to distance, silence, withdrawal. Not because you don't care, but because your inner world asks for quiet after too much deception. You rebuild by listening, slowly, to what is true in your own voice. What happened to you, or what could have happened to you, isn't proof that you're fragile. It's evidence that you're finely tuned. You notice undercurrents others dismiss. You feel the temperature of sincerity. When someone promises a world without contradiction, you don't join because you're blind. You join because you can finally rest your eyes. Over time, you learn that clarity doesn't live inside institutions, but inside awareness, the kind that doesn't need to be confirmed by others. You start to see that peace doesn't come from erasing complexity, but from being able to sit quietly with it. There is nothing shameful in longing for certainty, nothing weak in having believed. The part of you that needed belonging was simply doing its job, protecting you from isolation by seeking structure. It's the same part that helps you love deeply, the same part that keeps you loyal when others move on quickly. Even now, you may find it hard to trust groups, leaders, even your own instincts. That's all right. Caution is the nervous system's way of recalibrating. In time, your trust will return, not as blind faith, but as quiet confidence in your own perception. So perhaps this isn't a story about being misled. Perhaps it's about how your search for wholeness went too far toward what promised to complete you. The direction was right, just the destination wrong. But that impulse, that yearning for meaning, was always sacred. It still is. Different doesn't mean broken. The need to make sense of things isn't a flaw. It's a sign of mind and heart working together. You've always been reaching for coherence, and that is what makes you human.